been in St. Mary's Choir for a long time. I think 20, maybe 30 years. Music means the best entertainment for me. I just think a day is not complete without music. I began collecting dolls as an adult, and laughingly saying I never grew up. But the first doll that I picked up was a reproduction, and it was quite expensive. It was a sawdust doll. She was such a prize that I decided to continue. I had quite a collection. I've kept those that a couple of daughters made for me. They're special to me. I met my husband through each of our sisters. My sister and his sister decided that we should get connected some way. So his sister told him that I wanted him to call me. And then the reverse was true with my sister telling me that he was going to call. It was put up, you know, so he did call. He followed his sister's orders and he did call. And the rest is history. We began dating and were married a year later. He died 6 years ago. I have 7 children, 5 girls and 2 boys. There's Jennifer, Jessica, Mary, Laurie, John, George, and Betsy. We intended and talked about having 6 children, and that was not a secret. I love each one of them, and Betsy, being the youngest, he's the one that will say, "How did you happen to have 7 when you thought you only wanted 6? Family, it's the togetherness, it's watching them grow. When they were babies, I used to try to imagine what they would do as adults and where they would end up in their careers. I think it's hard to explain to someone who hasn't yet had the experience, and not everyone feels the same way anyway. But having a large family is fun, and there's a lot of things that we do together, and the growing up years were not always really smooth, but they're not supposed to be. That's life. I think there would be something wrong if everything was perfect. And the children are very good. All of them are. So are the grandchildren. Everyone's employed. And my children, and I hope the grandchildren also, have an excellent work ethic. There are 15 grandchildren who range in age, and I'm going to guess that the oldest one being maybe 34, down to 6 years. They're spread out a lot. There are 6 grandchildren from my son George and his wife, and they all live here in Lafayette. I sewed all of the girls' dresses, and for the most part, I remember putting outfits together within 24 hours for all 4 of the first girls. The Easter photograph of me and my 4 daughters came about because the courier called me saying that they had heard that I had made some outfits for the children, and they asked to photograph us. And of course it included the hats and the very traditional picture of 4 darling girls and me, and it did appear in the paper. I think the most difficult was the fact that we owned our business. We were not always certain of what our year's income was going to be. I had 2 part-time jobs to help with the expense of sending the children to private schools. The most important thing is to raise these children with a set of values and still have them be independent and make their own choices. I think that's the biggest challenge. I'm very proud of my life, and which is, of course, primarily focusing on raising 7 children. Sounds formidable, but it happens gradually, and the challenges are numerous. But I have a wonderful imagination, and I used to try to figure out in my head, without discussing it with anyone, how they were going to turn out. I don't know the secret to raising children and teaching them the values that you want them to have. But it's gradual, and it's by trial and error for us as parents and for them as growing children. And we just kept at it.